The Night of Isra night journey and Miraj ascension is not merely regarded as a physical miracle in Islamic thought, but as a profound metaphysical and pedagogical event. Great scholars have interpreted its philosophy, its deeper meanings regarding the soul, the universe, and the nature of God through different lenses. First, Imam Fakhr al-Din al-Razi, the rationalist and cosmological view. Imam al-Razi, author of Tafsir al-Kabir, approaches the Miraj with a blend of theology, kalam, and early science, the bending of space-time. Razi argued that for the creator of space and time, the laws of physics are flexible. He viewed the Miraj as a proof that the human soul, when connected to divine power, can transcend the limitations of the three-dimensional world. The supremacy of the soul. He used the Miraj to argue that the human soul is an immaterial substance. The speed of the journey, returning before the prophet's bed was cold, suggests that the spiritual realm operates on a different clock than the material realm. Proof of God's omnipotence. For Razi, the primary philosophy was a demonstration of Qudra, divine power. If God can create the heavens, he can certainly move a body through them in an instant. Second, Imam al-Ghazali, the spiritual and mystical journey. In works like Ihya Ulum al-Din and Mishkat al-Anwar, al-Ghazali focuses on the inner dimension of the journey, the microcosmic journey. Al-Ghazali posits that the Miraj is the prototype for the spiritual path of every believer. The prophet's physical ascent symbolizes the soul's ascent from the lowest of the low material world to the divine presence. The philosophy of prayer. He famously noted that Salah, prayer, is the Miraj of the believer. The philosophy here is that while the prophet ascended physically, we ascend spiritually through ritual prayer, which was the gift given on that night. Unveiling. He explains that the Miraj was the ultimate unveiling, where the prophet saw truths, paradise, hell, the divine throne, that are usually hidden by the veils of the material senses. Third, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, the legal and prophetic wisdom. Ibn al-Qayyim, in his masterwork Zad al-Ma'ad, looks at the Miraj through the lens of prophetic perfection and wisdom. The refinement of the heart. He emphasizes the splitting of the chest and the washing of the heart with Zamzam water before the journey. The philosophy is that to approach the divine, one must be purified of all worldly inclinations. The hierarchy of prophets. Ibn al-Qayyim analyzes why the prophet met specific prophets in specific heavens. For example, Jesus and John in the second, Moses in the sixth, Abraham in the seventh. He argues this represents the progression of Islamic history and the consolidation of all previous revelations into the final message of Muhammad, PBUH. The Fitra. He focuses on the choice between the vessel of milk and wine. The prophet choosing milk symbolizes that Islam is the religion of Fitra, primordial human nature. Fourth Imam, Ibn al-Jawzi, the moral and historical lesson. Ibn al-Jawzi, often cited for his work Talbis Iblis, focuses on the educational and corrective aspects of the event. Consolation after hardship. He views the Miraj as a divine gift of comfort. Following the year of sorrow, the deaths of Khadijah and Abu Talib. The philosophy is that the heights of spiritual expansion often follow the depths of worldly constriction. The warning for the Ummah. In his narrations, He highlights the scenes the prophet saw regarding the punishments of various sins. The philosophy here is pedagogical. The Miraj serves as a vivid moral map for the community to avoid the pitfalls of the ego. Fifth Imam al-Sayyuti, the celestial and metaphysical order. Imam al-Sayyuti, in works like Al-Ayat, Al-Kubra, focuses on the cosmology and the status of the prophet, the finality of knowledge. Sayyuti discusses the Sidrat al-Muntaha, the lote tree of the utmost boundary. He argues the philosophy here is that there is a limit to all created knowledge, angelic and human, and only the prophet was allowed to pass beyond it to witness the divine speech directly. Intercession and rank. For Sayyuti, the Miraj is the definitive proof of the prophet's superiority over all other creation. By leading the other prophets in prayer at Al-Aqsa, Muhammad PBUH is shown to be the imam of the messengers, unifying the celestial and terrestrial worlds. Comparison of philosophies. Scholar primary lens, core philosophical meaning. Al-Razi rational, scientific transcendence of physical dimensions and proof of God's power. Al-Ghazali mystical, experiential, the blueprint for the soul's journey to God via prayer. Ibn al-Qayyim prophetic, theological, the purification of the self and the unity of all revelation. Ibn al-Jawzi moral, practical consolation after suffering and the visual mapping of morality. Al-Sayyuti metaphysical, the unique status of the prophet and the limits of created knowledge. Moral from Imam Razi. While Imam al-Razi is famously known for his rational and scientific defense of the Miraj, he draws powerful moral and ethical conclusions from the event. For Razi, the miracle was not just a display of power, but a lesson in the relationship between the Creator and the creation. Here are the key moral lessons derived from Imam al-Razi's perspective. 1. The lesson of servant leadership. Ubudiyya. Razi pays close attention to the opening verse of Surah al-Isra. Exalted is he who took his servant by night. The moral. Even at the highest point of human achievement, standing where no angel or human had ever stood, the prophet is described as a servant abd. Implication. Razi teaches that the closer a person gets to God, the more humble and servant-like they should become. True greatness is not found in self-exaltation, but in the perfection of one's servitude to the divine. 2. Intellectual humility and the limits of reason. As a master of logic, Razi used the Miraj to teach a moral lesson about the human mind. The moral. There are realities that exist beyond the curtain of our physical senses and mathematical laws. Implication. We should have the humility to realize that our intellect, while powerful, is finite. Razi suggests that a person should not mock or reject truths just because they don't fit into their current box of understanding. The Miraj is a lesson in epistemic humility. 3. The moral power of perseverance. Razi contextualizes the Miraj as a response to the year of sorrow. The moral, divine expansion in Shira follows worldly constriction. Implication. When a believer is morally upright and patient during trials, like the prophet was during the boycott in Makkah, God opens doors that are not bound by worldly means. The Miraj serves as a moral encouragement. Hardship is not a sign of abandonment, but often a preparation for a greater elevation. 4. The responsibility of knowledge. Razi reflects on the prophet leading the other prophets in prayer at Al-Aqsa and witnessing the secrets of the heavens. The moral: to see more is to owe more. Implication: because the prophet was shown the great signs, Ayat al-Kubra, his responsibility to guide the Ummah became even more absolute. Razi implies that the moral of the story for us is that as our knowledge or status increases, our sense of duty and accountability to others must increase proportionately. 5. Spiritual focus over material comfort. Razi highlights that during the journey, the prophet's sight did not swerve, nor did it transgress. The moral: disciplining the eye, the desires. Implication: even amidst the most dazzling wonders of the heavens, the prophet remained focused on his Lord. Razi uses this to teach the moral of sincerity, ikhlas, that a true seeker should not be distracted by the glitter of the world or even the rewards of the hereafter, but should keep their heart fixed on the lawn of Sisim, Creator. The Miraj teaches us that the laws of nature are but habits of God. The real law is the will of the one who can change those habits at any moment to honor his sincere servants.